Hey guys, how you doing? It's Bob Augusto at Shoulda, Coulda, Woulda. Today we're in the garage. We're going to be working on the C10, the Concours ZG1000. I need to address a couple of issues that I'm having with it. One of them is it started leaking around the valve cover. So I ordered a new gasket. I was going to put that in. So another thing I'll be doing, I'm going to be installing a Shoodaben Advanced Cam Sprocket. And what that's going to do is that's actually going to be a sprocket that's installed on the exhaust cam. And what it does is it gives it a couple of degrees advancing, and the premise of what this is supposed to do is give the bike a little bit more torque on the low end without sacrificing any high-end horsepower. So we'll see how that goes. I figured since I'm going to be in there doing the gasket, I might as well do this project as well. It's a fairly simple project to do. The final thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a manual cam chain tensioner on the bike. So let's go take a look at the bench and see what I got there for the project. So this is the Advanced Exhaust Cam Sprocket. This is from a company called Shoodaben Engineering. I came across them on the COG forums. Steve Sefsik, I think is his name, and he has a website. I'll put the link below. He sells other products as well, and tunes and so forth for for the C10, C14, and now other bikes. So I picked this up. I was reading about it. Some of the reviews that I got on it, some people liked it, some people didn't notice much of a difference. Will I? I don't know. We'll find out. So we'll put that on. There's our gasket here we're going to install. And this is the manual cam chain tensioner, KT1100C by APE. And obviously you always want to replace your gaskets. Okay, so just to take a look at this gear now. What I have in my hand here is this is your standard cam sprocket. This is for the exhaust side. So we have our markings here, we have an exhaust, we have our intake, and so forth. So what Shoodaben gives you is they're going to give you basically an identical piece right here. What the difference is, it has these two extra holes drilled. So if we look at this, you're going to notice that there's two extra holes drilled on this one. Now, if I place this directly over that, and you look at the teeth, they perfectly line up. You see that? So what this sprocket does is he's created these two extra holes, and what you're going to do is you're going to relocate and bolt onto the cam. Okay? In that position. So what that now does, see what it did? It actually shifted them, about half a tooth. Okay, so the cam now is going to be, I want to say it's rotated this way, about half a tooth. And that's supposed to give you some low end. So we'll put that in there, we'll see how that goes. And over the summer, we'll take it for a couple of quick rips, see if I notice a difference. I don't think it's going to be huge. I think it'll be more pleasant to ride off the low end. The bike's got plenty of power, so I'm happy with that, but yeah, maybe I'll be happier with this. We'll see. All right, so I've removed the plastics. I might wind up removing this because I want to get this cover off. It's going to require taking all of this stuff off. I'm going to take the spark plug boots off and so forth. Just get this stuff out of the way. The valve cover will come off this way, and all the down and dirty work is done on this side of the motor. Right there will be your cam chain tensioner, where the cam sprockets are, and that's where you set your timing marks and so forth for rotating the motor. So if I'm going to be rotating the motor, especially on this motor, it's probably a good idea to take out the plugs. And plus I can take a good look at the plugs, see how they're burning and so forth. That's about it. I'm not going to cover all of that. It's pretty much cut and dry. If you own a C10, you've probably done all this work yourself. There are other videos that I have on the series that I've done on the C10 that kind of show a lot of this. So it's sort of cut and dry. It's not a very difficult job. So, all right, let's get started. We're going to remove the reed valves, caps, and take all this plumbing out of here. Ratcheting open ends are your friends. Definitely your friend. So there you go. So we just took the line off of here, gave me some room to get to that inside bolt. And there you go. So looking how this thing runs, it's a hose that goes into the box. I'm just going to pull this off right here. I want it gone. Okay. So there it is. So next step now will be plug wires. I find it best with a nice long screwdriver. Just go in underneath the boot if you get stock, and it'll kind of just tend to let go. Since the valve cover is going out this way, you kind of want to get things up and out of the way. In here is a deflector for the fan. It kind of just sits up on the valve cover. You know, it's sort of an interference fit. That's all it is. So we just got to make sure that when we take the valve cover out, we got to make that go. I could probably pop it down. I might even do that. This bracket here might need to move, so I might need to take this bolt out. If I remember, it does, and just move the fairing out of the way to have that clear. The design of this bike is pretty good. This engine's fantastic. And I say that because it has, you know, self-maintenance in mind. The valve adjustments on these bikes are not shim and buckets. They're actually adjustable. So you don't ever need anything. All you need is feeler gauges to work on the bikes. So you can run maintenance on these things forever without additional parts other than maybe gaskets here and there. You don't have to take you don't have to take the cams out. You don't have to do none of that to do a top end job on this bike. It's fantastic. So that's it. That's the 6 bolts for the valve cover. Plugs are a little. Yeah. That's it. Right, so we were leaking out the front here. Oh yeah, look at that. It's all cracked. So our gasket was done. This. So my rubber mallet bit the dust. I was beating on something with it and the head went flying. There you go. That's the cam chain tension. I'm not going to touch that yet. These have to come out. Take this guard off. This is the exhaust cam. You can tell because it's on the front of the motor. But I'm going to need to crack these loose as I rotate the motor according to the instructions. So I'll read the instructions as I go, and we'll do this step by step. So there's a timing mark on the engine. Right there. You can barely see it. Trying to see if I can flag. It's right there. So 1 and 4. I'm not sure if you can see that, but that's 1 and 4, and that's 2 and 3. So that's how the bike fires. It fires inside, outside, then the middle ones. So even though it's a 4-cylinder, it fires like a 2-cylinder. This nut here you don't want to grab. It's actually got a shear pin in it. You grab it and twist it, you can really screw things up. So you can go here. Now because I got the plugs out, which is why I took the plugs out, it'll allow me to spin it with no compression in the motor. So it'll give me a free spin. There's enough here to allow me to do that. Okay, so reading the directions, Rotate the crank until the X cam sprocket bolt without the X locating mark is accessible. So I'm going to spin this all the way around. I want this one. Hey guys, how you doing? So, I did the job. Unfortunately, I couldn't show you because I was feeling sentimental today, and I figured I would do it on the 7. And I know I've ranted and raved about the 7. I have there's actually a video of me ranting about this camera, but I was feeling sentimental, and I thought I could just do the job. So basically, that never happened. So the gear is installed. So I'm going to walk you through it. I'm going to try to walk you through it. Can't show you because you can't unring a bell, right? The job is done. So I don't even know where it's froze. So basically what you do is you open all of this up, right? I think I have all of that. I think I was starting to take out the old cam sprocket when it all went haywire. So the cam, I'm not sure how this camera shows. I just put the settings on the same, but so the sprocket has two components to it. It's got 2 markings on it. Let me sit down here. That says EX, that says IN, right? And there's a mark right here. I already discussed how the alignments go. What they want you to do is they want you to spin this around till you get it about there. You loosen that screw. Spin it around that way, always counterclockwise. So they want you to spin it around till this gets exposed. The one that says in, right? They want you to loosen it and remove it. Spin the motor around again. Spin the engine around again counterclockwise. So your EXC gets to be about 10 o'clock. Then you just loosen that. Just crack it, back it off like a turn, okay? Once that's done, they want you to mark, there's a line here, EXE. They want me to put a mark, actually that would be probably right. They want me to put a mark on a link where that line is for EX on the cam. So we did that. Then you remove that screw. So we took the screw out. After you do that, you remove the 4 screws that hold this guide in. So then you take the guide out. Then you take this screw out, and then you pull out the cam chain tensioner to relax everything. Then what it allows you to do is it allows you to come in here and walk the cam off and you roll it away. You hold this up so nothing jumps anywhere. I showed you the screw holes. I'll show you the drilled holes that are on for the new cam. So the degreed drill holes now go in its place. There's a scuff line right there on the cam, on the sprocket. There's a scuff line right there on the sprocket. What you do is you line that scuff line up with the mark you did on the link. That's how you know of it. As long as nothing is moved, everything goes back the way it comes out. Then when you do that, you put the cam piece back in. You have to rock the motor back just a little bit to line up the hole. Then you just put a little Loctite on the bolt, and then you just put it in loose. You rotate the motor around till you get to the other hole. When the other hole comes up to about 10, you put Loctite on that bolt, you tighten it in. You rotate it one more time, you tighten that in. So now those two get locked. You put the cam chain tensioner back on. Okay, so everything tightens back up. Just enough for everything to tighten back up. You put this back on, tighten it down, and then you can go in there, and I don't know if you can actually go in here with a long screwdriver, thin, And you can go inside here, and if you grab it, if you turn it, you'll actually loosen the cam chain tension. So you back the cam chain tensioner so it's loose, and you seat it in, and then you just let it go. Done. Okay? So right now, everything is in place. That's what you missed because of that camera. So the next step I want to do before I start buttoning things up is I'm going to replace the cam chain tensioner. Now, there's a lot of videos out there about, oh, you got to put it on top dead center. Well, maybe it's a good idea too, but as long as you take this out and you don't rotate anything, nothing's going to jump. There's nothing weird going to happen. So I'm just going to back this out and put the new one in. So I can see that this camera is recording because that's what this camera does. It records. As opposed to the other one that shows me going like this. Very disappointed. I'm bummed. And then we're going to go through those steps and putting that in, at least preliminary. And then we're going to button the motor up. Oh yeah, one more thing. So how do you know you did the job right? Well, there's a scribed line here, and there's a scribed line on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate the motor. And I'll show you what that means. As this comes around, you have your intake. Well, let's see. What was this? You have, on a sprocket, you got your exhaust line, and you get your intake line. So depending on what cam it's on. This is what they call the deck. So what you want to do is if you get this puppy and you just lay this right on the deck, so when I'm looking straight in at it, I can see the line. I should be able to come over here and see the intake line as well. So if I'm seeing the in line and I'm seeing the X line, like right here at the deck, then I know they're aligned properly. So that's your final check at doing the job, saying, did you do? If you were a tooth off, one would be either down here or up here, and one would be down here or up here, so they wouldn't be there. So as they came up and they centered, you know, at top dead, that's right on the deck, and that line's right on the deck. So that's how I know I did the job right. And this has been degreed. That's it. Okay. Might as well. See, here's a loose. As long as you don't rotate the motor right now, you should be fine. Nothing's going to jump teeth or anything like that. So this has an O-ring. I was going to say, I didn't see a gasket on here, but the factory has an O-ring. I'm going to go ahead and cut this thing out of here. It's that type of wrapping that you need a blowtorch to get into. All right, so KT1100C, Kawasaki Concours through 07. That's what that is. Now this has an O-ring too. I didn't even need the damn gasket. I always buy the gasket though. There you go. Just gonna kind of put that in there. Back this away. Screw it in until it starts pushing. Ooh. Look at that. The O-ring almost escaped. So let's go ahead and just put that in there. And the funny thing about this is there's no directions with it. So there's a lot of theories on the best way to adjust these. What I'm going to do, you're not going to be able to do much until you get the bike running. I'm just going to put it down until it starts to make noise, and that's it. So these are steel bolts going into an aluminum head. Not too tight. That's it. I can feel the tension now. I can see the chain relax. And then I can see the chain now tightening. I'd rather tighten into it and then adjust it. So that's probably at a point where you'd hear a little slop. And then we'll leave it at that. and then adjust it in to quiet it down, and we should be fine. So I'm just going to leave that like that. That's it, guys. So I'll come back in with the adjustment on this. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to replace the gasket here. Put some RTV black. I'm going to clean this up a little more. Put some RTV black. The bolts that go around the edge, I'll give them a little bit of Loctite because that looks like that's what was on there. And that's it. I'll come back in after that's all assembled. Put the plugs in, put the tank in, fire it up, put it under the microscope, see what it looks like, and then be done with it. Should do it. Okay, guys. It's got a brand new gasket here. That'll stop that leak. I got the APE cam chain tensioner here. Basically, what I did here was I backed it out till I started hearing it chatter. And then I screwed it in until the chatter went away, and I just screwed it in just a little bit more and locked it off. I'll play with it a little bit more, but I think that's pretty much set. So, just to show you what it sounds like with the cam, the bike doesn't sound any different. It feels pretty perky in the throttle, but she starts right up. She wants to go. It's definitely making a good sound at low end. So we'll see what it does. Now I just need a warm day. All right, guys, that's it. So cam chain tensioner, head gasket, well, valve cover gasket, whatever you want to call it. And the exhaust, well, let me sure I read this right here. Let me sure if I read this right. The Shoodaben Engineering Advanced Exhaust Cam Sprocket. So I'll leave you a link to his site. Probably a lot of you who have who have concourses probably follow the concourse owners group. He's ubiquitous through there. I think he's called Stephen Sunny, Florida. But he has his own little thing going on, and he sells product and so forth. So there you go. So hopefully you get something out of this video. That's about it. I'm just going to button the bike up. It's coming up the temperature. It's idling really good. Wants to pull. Wants to pull. All right, guys. Spring's coming. Let's get them ready. Take care.